Welcome to the Honest Hour. I'm your host, Luis Acevedo. We're back on MOT News TikTok. We are no longer banned. Our suspension is over. We're back on MOT News. We were going live from MOT today, but now we're back with MOT News. So, yeah, there's a few things that I want to talk about today, let people come in for some conversation, you know, and just have a good time, I while I was working today. So for those of you that don't know, I started a new job. I am basically going back into the automotive industry as like a service writer type deal. Still have my company. Just need to make a little more money in the meantime uh, until I can grow the company up. We just had good news with the company that an account that I was hoping to land, they are looking to work with us now. They have accepted the proposal, it looks like. So that's really cool, which is going to increase our, income tremendously. But anyway, so while I was working there, I just had this realization of this narrative that's been building up for years around job slavery, wage slavery, rat racing, etc. I know when you look up rat racing, it's talking about working 60 hours a week, 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week for money, power, status, etc. But I feel people have a misunderstanding of rat race. And while that is true, that can be a type of rat race, I do feel certain people view the rat race as a negative way of living a life which is revolving around a 9 to 5. Maybe it's not for money, power, or status. Because I mean, without the rat race, would you have society? Would you have the things that we have today? I don't know. Uh, so I think there's some propaganda around that, just like I think that there's some propaganda around job slavery, wage slavery. There's a lot of people in our day and age, especially the younger generations, my generation, generations below me, one above me. We are very critical of the 9 to 5. We're very critical of the average work schedule because we feel like it's oppressing us from doing what we want to do. No, Andrew Tate, not for 2024. That's lame. You, sir. Okay. So the job slavery is not really an issue. Like I feel like it's just more of a demeaning thing as opposed to being recognized for what it is. Because when I was at my job today, I was like, well, you need people to do these things. Not, and even the entrepreneurs, like I am an entrepreneur myself, and entrepreneurs work more than people who are quote unquote wage slaves or work for a 9 to 5 in a company where they don't have power. Like you work a lot more as an entrepreneur. I know this as an entrepreneur. I've started a few businesses. The cleaning company has been my most successful one, and it's still growing. So the issue here is that we are misleading people into thinking that getting out of the 9 to 5 is the best and healthiest thing they can do for them. When that may be true, what it's doing at the same time, whether it's realized or not, is attacking the society as a whole because you need people to do those jobs. It's how the world turns. It's providing a good service, like our mechanics, job slaves, wage slaves, our electricians, wage slaves, are anything that's very valuable in society. Are they? No. So that's the big issue that I have, and I had this realization today. Oh yeah, collection cans does not make you an entrepreneur. All right. All right. Yeah. I see this, guys. Huge typo. Give me a second. All right, give me 1 second. I put instead of pervert, I put prevent. So let me fix this. Why do I keep doing that? There we go. Boom, boom. Fixed it. Don't you worry, TikTokers. Honest question. Honest question. All right. Let's fix it. Don't worry. I got it right here. Let's change it. Boom. There we go. Those are prevents. Yeah. So that's the realization that I had today, because I feel like I suffered a little bit from that old belief system. Um, no, I just don't have the S, but you know what I mean. All right, you know what? Screw it. Let's do this. All right, hang on. Let me do this. Let me get out of this really quick. Go here. There we go. That has to be right. All right. Sorry about this, guys. All right. There we go. Boom. 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 There we go. We're starting this over. So there we go. But that's what I figured out today at work. I just had this realization, and I wanted to share that with you guys because I feel like it's valuable. You know, I feel like so many people are pressured into becoming an entrepreneur or pressured into things of that nature, and making it seem as if having a job is a bad thing. You know, like your goal is to not be working from somebody, but for yourself. But regardless, even as an entrepreneur, you're still working for people, right? Like I work for my clients. Without my clients, I don't have work. I provide them a service, yes, but without my clients, I don't have work. So it's a very narcissistic view that I believe the world has been, the West particularly, has been taking hold of lately. And so I just wanted to share that. But yeah, then there's other topics that we're going to be talking about today. Joe Biden and Trump are both creepy perverts. This is very true. Right wing pundit lies about FBI raids. This is very true. Republicans and Democrats work together to destroy America. Fact. And then NY, New York, that is, wants credit card companies to flag gun sales. So, there's this understanding from the right wingers that Joe Biden is this creep. He's a PEDO. And just you watch the videos of him, the FBI raids is not lies. It is, especially if Gavin McInnes allegedly got raided during his live show, and there's leaks of him admitting that it was a prank. There's text messages that have been revealed. Democrats are the cops outside doing nothing. No, I don't know, man. I don't know. They work together. I don't know if that's a fair analogy. But Biden isn't a great man. Nobody's saying that Biden's a great man. But so you have these images and videos of Joe Biden sniffing little girls and touching them and making them feel uncomfortable. But then you also have footage of Donald Trump talking about Jeffrey Epstein being a nice guy, but he likes young girls, talking about the fact that he would date his daughter if his daughter wasn't his daughter. That's very creepy. Reinhart was a defense lawyer for several of Epstein's employees. Okay. You do understand that Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein were friends. I'd say it's pretty easy to recognize when one group is actively malicious without supporting other. Yeah, I mean, but this is our whole political discourse now, right? So the left is just a bunch of traumatized, people who want a daddy and a mom that love them. And the right is this, I don't know, they both are very, very lost. The right, they also want a strong dad. I think the false dualism is dangerous. Us and other always is. Yeah, for the most part. But I mean, there is an us and an other in certain circumstances. But the way the political narrative has worked in our day is not to our benefit. I don't know that it ever has been. It's about how their policies and how they're exciting them. Yeah, I mean, take for instance Gavin McInnes. He's a right wing pundit. What's going on, Mike Dave? We got MOT News back, baby. We got MOT News back as of today at 1. So we're back here. But if you look at Gavin McInnes, what's going on, MC? Hope you're doing well. Gavin McInnes is a right wing pundit. He literally faked his arrest. This is known. There's text messages leaking that this was a prank. He wasn't going to tell anybody. And yeah, it was very disgusting. So now it doesn't seem that unrealistic if a Gavin McInnes can stage his own rating, that Donald Trump can do the same, that Tim Pool can do the same. These people are manipulating you to hate your institutions so that way you disband them. Does it make any sense that Democrats are voting for and want to get rid of the police department, and now you have the Republicans talking about defunding the FBI? You mean like left-wing hate crimes? Yeah, exactly, Nick. That's 100% right. This is right, man. Like, yes, they do fake hate crimes. I mean, Jesse Smollett is a perfect example of that. FBI is releasing info themselves. Now what? What are you talking about? I mean, it doesn't mean that the FBI is bad. Like, are there parts of the FBI that are corrupt? Yes. Has the FBI been holy and good its entire existence? No, it hasn't. But the Republicans are now doing the same thing as the left, and that is wanting to destroy their justice system. With all respect, the IBF, the FBI, never did anything great. They harassed MLK, create fake jihad, GRP group. The FBI suppressed the Hunter Biden story to protect Biden. Yes, okay. They also broke up more SEX trafficking rings than any other organization ever. Yeah, nobody is saying the FBI isn't corrupt, but you don't understand that this is actually a communist tool to make Americans hate their institutions. This is exactly what happened in the Cold War, guys. They could have promoted it also, though. Yeah, they could have. There are insidious rogue elements of both the FBI and CIA. I agree with that. The FBI should be broken up into smaller departments. That may be the best solution, but I don't know. I mean, the disbanding of the FBI is a stupid idea. It's just as stupid as getting rid of the police officers. Check out Haley Biden's Twitter before they pull it down. I don't need to. I've been down this rabbit hole. I know all these dudes are creeps. Like, all I'm trying to point out here is that the Republican Party is no better than the Democratic Party. They are literally trying to destroy the institutions that will protect Americans. Can they be used against Americans? Of course. Are they used against Americans in a malicious way every day? No. I don't agree with removing local police, though. Yeah, we never needed those alphabet groups to spy inside our state or our country. Well, how will we compete nationally? I mean, if you have, or internationally, like you have the Russians, the Chinese, the Canadians, the Mexicans, they all have their spy groups. They all have their international agencies. So that would put us at a disadvantage to not have an international agency. No government department should have that much authority. I don't know about that. And how much authority are you talking about? Just say they shouldn't have that much authority. How much is too much authority? Where do you draw the line on authority? Because just because somebody has authority doesn't mean it's bad. And parents have the ultimate authority over their children, and to have the ultimate authority over your children isn't a bad thing. So to have ultimate authority isn't necessarily a bad thing. Can it become a bad thing? Yes. Unelected bureaucrats in the FBI and CIA are being weaponized politically. They can be, yes. I know people like this. This is why I come at it from the angle I do, because I know people in the government who are good people, very good people. They stop very evil people from doing very evil things, and they take immense pride in the work they do. So it isn't right to just demonize the whole department. Like, there are bad elements to it, yes. Yeah, that's true, but who polices the heads of these institutions when they become corrupt? Mike, Dave, this is why I'm for church and state. But ultimately, it should be the people, right? And the people, based on their morality, this is my argument, will allow certain behaviors to take place. But the double standard that is going on allows the crooks in our government to stay in power. There is a double standard. However, the population is complicit to their abuse of authority. And I say that because they realize the population by large has no backbone whatsoever. The FBI and they have no moral compass. They won't stand up for anything. You give them football games, you give them cornos, you give them junk food, they'll do it. The FBI was using the same tactics on parents who were voicing their opinions. I know, I read the same stories, but that's not all of the FBI. Like, I'm telling you guys, like, do you know anybody that works for these agencies? I know people who work in the Department of Homeland Security who are also weaponized. Like, the Department of Homeland Security was also weaponized in the same thing that you're talking about for the schools. There are really good people in there. There are really good people in there who would literally die for you, who literally see their death potentially of protecting America as something very valuable and sacred. And they do not want you to face any of the evils in which they see. The government mass sterilized Native women in the 60s without their knowledge. I know they did the same thing to the Puerto Ricans. You may know good people, but if above powers are corrupt, who will arrest them? That's a good question. So I know somebody personally who was involved in, I got to be very vague here because I can't give out too much details, but it was this is public knowledge, but I don't really know how much I can say. I mean, the bus was public knowledge. So basically, there was massive corruption in this police department. This person did a lot of work to ingratiate themselves with the leader of said police department. That leader of the said police department ended up treating him in as a son, basically, as somebody to learn or teach, rather, his wisdom and certain things. And through that, he found the corruption in that said police force. And it was one of the biggest corruption bust in police departments in the nation. And because of that, he now receives death threats from his fellow police officers and people that work in the government. He's not a police officer. He's like above that. He's totally different than that. But there are really good people in there. And there's also people that are like him. He's not just a rare breed. I would argue that there's more people like him who are having a difficult time because of nepotism and evil running rampant in these authoritarian regimes. I called him that, and I don't even know that I could call them authoritarian regimes. That are running rampant in these places. What about supporting democratic Christianity country instead of monarchy? What's wrong with that? Well, I don't think that democracy is Christian, because God told Abraham that the people that would come from him would be kings. Like he would have many people coming from him and many kings coming from him. So that's an implication that God wanted to have monarchies. And also the establishment of his kingdom, right? He considers himself a king. The kingdom of heaven's within you. Jesus Christ is the King of Kings. There are certain people who are kings. Like Moses led his people. It wasn't democratically elected. Jesus, led, obviously. There were many other people. Jacob led. It wasn't democratically elected. Nobody wants to hear this, but the KKK came to power fighting police corruption during Reconstruction. This is true. The KKK has a lot of unknown history about them. Still support Christ as king until he's coming. Fair enough, man. I respect your opinion, though. I respect it. Actually, God never intended them to have king. He warned against them. No, he didn't. You don't understand what you're talking about. So God did not want. I know how it's corrupted. But God did not want man to want a divine king. Did not want man to want God. I'm telling you right now, I know what you're talking about, and this is exactly what it's referring to in its greater context. Is this the fact that the people wanted a king that was godly, that was like God, basically. All the other kings around them were treated as if they were one with God, as if they were God on earth. And they were able to have much more liberties, quote unquote, which just means they were able to be more depraved because the God, their king, their God, allowed them to do so many degenerate things that they thought would be, okay, we want that. So that's not the kind of king that God wanted to implement. But God literally told Abraham, kings will come from you. Kings will come from you. I will give you this land and kings will come from you. Like, come on. God has considered himself a king. Jesus is considered the King of Kings. But King David was elected after Goliath. Yes. And elected by who, though? Like, not everybody voted for King David. Like, I don't think maybe you can school me on this, but my knowledge is not everybody. Or did people vote for King David? Like, was it a democratic election because of his foreknowledge or because of his will? Because that's what he wanted to establish, because God is pro-government. God wanted to establish monarchies. It is the closest way to God, I believe. KKK were the people's police when federal agents refused to help white people. He's spitting some facts, actually. These are things that I don't talk about much because I already get enough hate for my live streams. Today's been pretty chill. Usually I get a lot of hate. But this is very true. Founding fathers were deists. Jefferson wanted to keep evangelists far away from government. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of torn with that, right? Because there's a whole bunch of evidence to conclude they were Freemasons, the founding fathers. But it is obvious that the United States is a Christian nation. Like, it has Christian morality. So I don't know, man. It's weird. Beware of fuddy Christians who want a theocracy. Yeah, I mean, I don't see why you shouldn't be. Really, there's nothing wrong with being skeptical of what somebody wants as far as the government. You should be suspicious of that. You should question them on their reasons behind it. Trump told us he was going to drain the swamp, but just took bump sticks, and gave us Project Warp Speed. Luca, you get it, my man. You get it. I voted for Donald Trump in 2016 because I thought he was going to build the wall. I thought he was going to end immigration. I thought he was going to fix the country. I thought he was going to make us energy independent. I thought that he was going to give us, support us. I thought he was going to drain the swamp. I thought he was going to do all these things that he claimed to do. But then he revealed his true self in the presidency. The founding fathers were mostly propped up by, this is true, heel, you get it, my man, you get it. The small hats and big noses, they've had their fingers in their noses in a lot of in a lot of countries. They've been kicked out of like 109 countries. Trump tried but was stonewalled by Congress. Maddie Wolfger, you understand that they had the majority in Congress his first 2 years, and what the fuck did they do? The first 2 years. What excuse did you have? And why is it that Roe v. Wade is being overturned during Biden's presidency? All of these debates on TikTok, finally one that makes sense. Well, thank you. Guys, they're both evil. Trump sucks. Biden sucks. I voted for Trump in 2016. I think the guy's hilarious. I think his rhetoric is genius. I think that he is very convincing, but he's a fucking liar. It is the central banks, but you do realize that both parties are bought and paid for. Yes, that's exactly what we're talking about. Do you think there is a worse between the two evils? I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, we're talking about Trump and Biden. I don't know. But I'm not of the mindset to pick evil. Like, this whole pick the lesser of two evils. Why don't you just not pick evil? Why don't you just not partake in the picking of evil? I just don't understand that. Why not just opt out? If evil is your only option, then just don't choose, because that's also an option. Do we want everyone to fight each other? I think it's even beyond them, man. It's Satan. We need a convention of states. Could be useful, but maybe not. You were duped by Trump. In 2016, I was. Yeah, you can say that. What was with the bizarre Biden press conference that looked like deep fakes? Good question. You know, there's interesting theories that Joe Biden has been a deep fake for quite some time. You know, there's images where it appears he's standing in front of a green screen, but I don't know, man. I don't know. The deep fakes are really, really good. And I think once you start going down that rabbit hole, like, is Joe Biden really just an artificial intelligence being propped up on the screen? I don't know. I just don't think it's very healthy to go down that rabbit hole for long. I could be wrong, but yeah, I'm skeptical of it too, man. I'm very skeptical of it. There's a lot of footages where it's like, is that really him? And then there's side by sides. It was some Jan 6 press conference that looked really weird. Yeah, I don't know that I remember that one exactly. Biden's inauguration was not in any way in protocol. I don't know, man. I mean, who? It's all fake, dude. Like, they wanted Trump to win. You understand that, right? It was fake to say that they didn't want Trump to win. Trump is on Israeli shekels, guys. Trump is on Israeli money. They praise Trump. Just go back in the Trump equals Stephen Miller, Jared Kushner, Charles Kushner, Ray. Yes, exactly. This is exactly true. You voted for Biden. I did not vote for anybody. Very libertarian. Kudos. I am not libertarian. I think, in my opinion, libertarianism is a horrible political philosophy. Dark Brandon is here to stay. Yeah, okay. I don't know what that means, but yeah. Tea Party wasn't even as bad as the Trumpsters. Well, I sympathize with the Trumpsters because I know that they just got riled up because they were revealed a lot of truth about the PEDOs, but then they were lied to about so many other things. Like, Trump claimed to be a truther, but he never called out the small hats. Trump claimed to be a truther by questioning the events in September 1-1, but he brags about his building becoming the tallest building after the buildings during that event that took place in September crashed, becoming the biggest one. After they collapsed, bodies are still burning. Trump was like, "Now I have the biggest tower." Swear to God, did a news interview. That was the first thing that came to his mind. Tea Party was even more Jayish. They may have been. I don't know much about the Tea Party, but I mean, these things are controlled oppositions, guys. I don't know that like people don't realize these stuff. We need to understand we are at war, and the war is within you first. Remember that. Like, yes, there's a war outside, but in order to see the battlefield clearly in your external world, you need to first identify the battlefield inside of you and see where you're losing. Like, you could do both. Yes, like I'm doing both. We should all do both. Like, we shouldn't just be like Jordan Peterson and saying clean your room. Like, no, like you can clean your room and still try to clean your backyard. How do we fix it? Well, I mean, that's up to you. That's up to the individual. I mean, like, what is the sin in your life? I'm a Christian, so I view things from that perspective. What is the sin in your life? Those sins, basically all they are is it means you're going the wrong way. You're missing the mark. So what are things that are keeping you down, keeping you from moving forward, and not in this vanity way, in this material way, but in a spiritual, more holy way? What are things that are keeping you down from being truly happy, from being truly loving, from being truly observant and objective about what you're seeing in reality and not succumbing to your vices, right? Like, what are those things that you struggle with? And then obviously there's a battlefield outside of you that you can participate in. The hatred and division keeps me down. Okay, so the hatred and division keep you down. So why do you let the division? You're at war. Cool. The enemy has Holocaust museums in every city. You're losing. Well, they're not the enemy. Like, heal is right on so many things, but the J words are not the enemy. It's your behavior that's the enemy. The J words only have as much power as you give them, but it's you that has the true power. So, like division and hatred. Well, what do you hate? Why do you hate those things? And what is it about division that's bothering you? I mean, just like really do some inquiry as to why you feel that way, why you hate those things. I keep myself down, but I want to be in competition with everyone, just healthy and free. But I don't want to be in competition with everyone, just healthy and free. Okay. Then be healthy and free. Do things that are going to make you healthier and free from what, though? Like, free from what exactly? Free from the bondage of your vices? I mean, that would be smart. And trust me, we all have these issues. I'm not perfect. I'm not sitting here preaching. I am, struggling with my own vices. When the behavior is inherently subversive, it's virtually impossible to distinguish good from bad. Behavior is inherently subversive. It's virtually impossible to distinguish good from bad. No, you can distinguish good from bad. And it's not impossible to. Free to use my time how I want to. That sounds pretty selfish. Free from socialism. Then don't have it in your life. I don't know what you want me to, like. Okay. And the only reason I say free to do what you want to do is selfish is because do you want, like, the things you do to bring in income to provide a roof over your family's head, do you want to do those things? Maybe not necessarily, but you do those things so that way your family can have a roof over your head. Let's say, you have some meaningful job where you're helping people in your everyday life, whether it be through the trades or through therapy or something like that, right? Where you're helping people. Well, then wouldn't it be wrong to say that you don't want to help them anymore because you'd rather do other things to just please yourself? I mean, you can do what you want to do. It's up to you. And if you want to be selfish, that's fine. I mean, like, there's a degree of selfishness that I don't feel is bad, but I don't know that the goal should be to be selfish. But, you do you. But yeah, I help people by fixing their vehicles. Right. Right on. Well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. That's a good skill to know. It's a very valuable thing as well. It's a very commendable thing. Like, well, I can choose to help people if I want to. This is true. Yeah, there's always a choice, but need to be free to make that choice. Well, it depends on. I mean, nobody's ever truly free. Like, okay, so I had a schedule in which you would probably consider is freedom. So I still have the business. I just had to switch up what I'm doing now because, my wife is going full time stay at home mama. And so we had to just switch things up a little bit. So now I'm working basically, uh, well, one job and running a business. So when I was solely focusing on running the business, I basically could do whatever I want when I wanted to, just focusing on that. Now there were days that, I had to go in and clean, do stuff like that, make sales, call people, follow up, schedule stuff, order things, etc., do the taxes, all that stuff. But I was pretty much able to do whatever I wanted when I wanted while making decent money, like pretty decent money for the amount of hours I actually physically worked. I mean, I worked a lot, but the physical hours as opposed to like going into a job, I made a lot more money, still make a lot more money doing that hourly, way more hourly than I do working at a job. I mean, if I had, just like maybe 20 hours of working at the current rate, like I have own a commercial cleaning company. So if I just did 20 hours of work, I would far exceed what I make at the full-time job that I've taken on. Uh, but those freedoms weren't really free. I mean, there was so many like I get it. I get it. I get it. And you can do what you want to do. But they're not really, it's not really like you have the freedom. Like there's more responsibility. Let's say you want to have your own homestead and live off your land. Well, there's a lot more responsibility in that. And you have less more like I can't just go on vacation either, right? Like that's the other thing. So I can't just go on vacation and leave. I got clients to take care of. So it's like, I don't know, just something to consider, I guess. But you're going to do what you want to do. That's just my perspective. One of the tools we have is to vote. So we don't vote. Are we giving up? I don't know that voting is necessarily a tool that we have anymore when it comes to presidents or anybody in Congress. I don't know that that's true. But I guess the last thing that I'll just touch on before I get out of here, unless anybody wants to come up, have a conversation, is going to be NY. New York wants credit card companies to flag gun sales. I wish they got rid of colors when voting. Okay, I hear you. I'm self-employed. I have 33 acres. I'm very fortunate. Right on, Jack. That's awesome, man. That's very awesome. My family's goal really quick is to have a homestead. I want to have our own homestead. I don't know about like having a full-fledged farm anytime soon. I mean, my long-term goal would to be have, like a butcher, maybe a grocery store, that kind of stuff. But we want to be able to have some chickens, some goats, and be able to grow our own fruits and stuff like that. But there's not very much freedom in that, right? Like you can't just leave your property whenever you want to. So, you get it though. You get it. And yes, they want to. I'm not saying that they are. They want the credit card companies in New York, Visa, MasterCard, etc., to flag gun sales. Having your homestead is hard work, but impossible. Not impossible, but some days are rough. I'm sure. It sounds like Matt M has a homestead. I think everybody should have a little homestead. It's the most American thing. Yeah, living on the grid is much easier. 100%. And depending on what kind of freedom you're talking about, it offers you more freedom. To live on the grid, it affords you the opportunity to just live wherever you want, vacation, leave. Are you a nihilist? No, not at all. I believe that there is objective meaning in life. I believe there's objective morality. I believe in God. I believe in hope. I'm very optimistic about the future. Right? I'm trying to maximize that freedom. Yeah, I mean, you do you, man. I get it. Like, I have a desire to travel too. I get it. Like, I'm not going to sit here and judge or anything. Freedom of time. Yeah, I get that. I used to have one, but it was too difficult for me to maintain myself. Right on, hot cakes. Hot pancake. But yeah, so that's pretty much all that I had to talk about tonight, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Um, what's rat race propaganda? Yeah, so there's a push to demonize people that work hard. I don't think that there's anything wrong with working hard, and I get that the rat race is just working towards vapious things like money, power, status, things that just fade away with time. But I believe the conception of the rat race has taken a different form in that, or I believe that the rat race itself has been understood in a different light. In that, if you have a 9 to 5 and you're just paying your bills and you're going to work and you're just paying your bills, you have a house, you have a family, and you're just going to work and paying your bills. You're trapped in this cycle. Well, I feel like that's the propaganda behind the rat race. I mean, yeah, you look up the definition of it, and it's what I originally said about, working long hours to obtain these things that are just, you know, just vanity, basically. But I believe most people view it as a way to criticize a 9 to 5, a way to criticize a regular job, a way to criticize most people's everyday life, which is just constant routine. Routine is good for humans. So that's why I'm saying maybe it's some propaganda. Bartering with other homesteaders is where it's at. For sure. For sure. But all right, guys, I'm really out of here this time. Much love. Subscribe to everything MOT Media, MOT Media, MOT Today, One, MOT News, MOT Everything. On YouTube, MOT Media, Facebook, MOT Media, Twitter, MOT Media, Instagram, MOT Media. Yeah. Don't you think it's funny that the Democrats are taking AR-15s but not field artillery pieces? Yeah. It's just all for show. I own 4 artillery pieces and they don't care. Yeah, it's just all for show, man. But all right, guys. Much love. Peace.